On this episode of RuneScape Mythbusters, I find out answers to questions like, what's the true fastest path from Lumbridge to the Grand Exchange? Are dots faster than arrows when solving a puzzle box? Does it make more sense to not pay for protection when planting certain trees? These myths and more are getting confirmed or busted. Okay, so this first one blew my mind. When solving a puzzle box during a clue scroll, is it actually faster to use the dots instead of the arrows? The puzzle box solver has been in the game for over a decade on multiple clients, all the way back to when Conduit and OS Buddy were a thing. But RuneLite now rightfully reigns supreme, and their puzzle box solver is a big reason for that. There really is no puzzle aspect anymore to these, it's just click where the plugin tells you to. Now, the default settings on this plugin that show you where to click are these little arrows. It's what I and the majority of you have used, well, forever. Well, on a recent live stream I did, I was told that it's actually faster and more efficient to use the dots instead of the arrows. Let's test. Here we have a puzzle box with the arrows, and here we have a puzzle box with the dots. Every time we click a tile, new arrows load in, telling us where to click next. As you can see in the comparison, the dots do indeed load in quicker when clicking on the tiles. In fact, the difference is pretty significant. There's a slight delay with the updating of the arrows and almost no delay with the updating of the dots. I'm not 100% sure why the dots are faster. It may just be because there are 4 dots compared to 3 arrows, which means the information on the puzzle box loads in quicker for you to follow. With there being only 3 arrows, if you're doing it too quickly, you'll sometimes have to wait for a new set of arrows to load in before clicking. As you can see here, it happens quite often where I click all 3 arrows and then I have to wait for a new set of arrows to load. This ends up wasting a few seconds. With the dots, however, it's a consistent loading of new dots as you solve the puzzle box, which in turn leads to a faster completion. These 2 puzzle boxes both require me to move 50 tiles to solve it. Using the dots, I was able to solve the puzzle in 15 seconds, while the arrows took 17 seconds. Now, if you're doing these puzzle boxes casually and not trying to click at light speed to complete them, you're not going to see much of a difference, but if you enjoy speedrunning the puzzle boxes to do them as quickly as possible like I do, the dots are definitely what you should be using. It may be a small difference, but it all adds up. The myth that using dots is faster when doing a puzzle box compared to arrows is confirmed. Did you know that a Super Restore potion can restore up to 22 stats at once? Pretty impressive, but it doesn't compare to how 1 scoop of AG1 restores 75, including vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics, and superfoods that support whole body health. If you have a habit of playing RuneScape, get into the habit of taking some AG1 as well. It costs less than $3 a day for a ton of benefits. No matter your age or lifestyle, it's so important to give your body the nutrients it needs, and AG1 makes it so easy. Just dump in a scoop or pour in a convenient travel pack into some water, shake, and drink. It helps your energy and immune health, improves gut health and digestion, and honestly just makes you feel good. I like knowing that everything in AG1 is making my body happy. Ingredients like vitamin A, zinc, spirulina, ginger, and more. It's like the ultimate multivitamin. I've taken it daily for almost 2 years now and have seen a noticeable improvement, especially in my energy levels. If you want to try a real-life version of a Super Restore but over 3 times as powerful, try AG1. My link is in the description and you support my channel and I. Now is the best time to give AG1 a try. You'll also get $76 of free extras when you subscribe. That includes 5 AG1 travel packs, a shaker, a bottle of vitamin D3 plus K2, and a metal canister. Get started for less than $3 a day when you subscribe. Just head to the link in the description or scan the QR code. Protecting your crops by paying farmers at their respective patches is a great way to guarantee that whatever you planted doesn't die. For the vast majority of crops that you can protect, the payment is very worth it, but some are insanely pricey. Let's take magic trees for example. The magic sapling costs $79K. To protect it from disease, you need to pay 25 coconuts. Each coconut goes for over 2,000 GP, so you're spending 50K to protect a tree that's worth 79K. In total, almost 130K to plant and protect a magic tree. But this begs the question, is it actually more cost efficient to not pay a farmer when planting a magic tree? This really comes down to how much GP you have, but let's break down the numbers and you can decide for yourself. At 75 farming, you can begin planting magic trees, the best tier of tree you can plant in a tree patch, giving by far the most XP. To find out what the most cost efficient way of planting them is, we have to understand farming growth cycles, which are super weird. Whenever you plant something, it grows in cycles. Here you can see the growth cycle of trees you can plant in a tree patch. It takes 3 hours and 20 minutes for an acorn to turn into an oak tree. Every 40 minutes it goes up 1 in the growth cycle for a total of 5 cycles. So 5 cycles times 40 minutes equals the 3 hours and 20 minutes it takes to turn into a full-grown tree. Magic saplings take quite a bit longer, 8 hours to fully grow, and they have 12 growth cycles. A tree can become diseased every time the growth cycle goes up, except for the first cycle, which is when you plant the tree. So for example, after the 40 minutes have passed for growth cycle number 1, there's a chance it becomes diseased when it moves to growth cycle 2. Fruit trees, regular trees, and herbs all have different disease chances per cycle, which is what makes farming farming such a complicated behind-the-scenes skill to understand. So magic trees have 11 cycles with a chance for disease. This chance is 9 in 128, around a 7% chance. The reason compost is so important is because it lowers this disease chance every cycle. For example, using super compost on the patch reduces the chance of disease from 9 in 128 to 2 in 128, from 7% to 1.6%. Ultra compost brings it all the way down to 1 in 128, from 7% to 0.8%. Let's assume you plant a magic tree, don't protect it, and use no compost. The chance that it makes it through all 11 growth cycles without getting diseased is a measly 44%. More often than not, you'll come back to a dead tree. But check out the rates when using super compost and ultra compost. Super compost brings the survival rate of the tree to 84%, and using ultra compost brings it all the way to a bit less than 92%. Super compost only costs 15 GP, and ultra compost only costs 665 GP. Way cheaper than the 50k it costs to protect the tree with a farmer. Though the payment guarantees your tree survives, whereas compost just gives you really good odds the tree survives. Okay, so let's see the final results. Let's say my goal is to successfully plant and check the XP of 100 magic saplings. If you were to pay full protection, so the 25 coconuts for each magic tree, it would only take 100 plants. In total, you'd be spending 13.1 million GP. If you were to only use super compost, it would take on average 119 magic trees. In total, you'd be spending 9.4 million GP, and with ultra compost, it would take on average 109 trees and you'd be spending 8.7 million GP. Here's the cost per successful tree plant. Ultra compost takes the cake, costing only 88.5k per successful tree. Okay, so you're saving a lot of money, but what about the XP that you lose? To put it simply, you're trading about 113k worth of experience for 4.25 million GP in savings. To me, that is very cost effective and honestly very worth it, but it entirely depends on your GP situation. If you don't have a lot of money in the bank but still want to play magic trees, skip the payment cost of coconuts. The occasional dead tree might hurt to look at, but in the long run, you'll be saving tens of millions of GP on your way to 99. If you're swimming in gold and don't mind the extra cost of guaranteed protection, keep paying the coconut fee. It's entirely up to you. There are other things in the game that can help with your farming patches. The Falador Elite Diary, for example, guarantees that your tree doesn't die in the Falador Park. The Iazor seed that can be planted in the farming guild reduces the risk of diseased crops by 80%. This effect actually stacks with ultra compost, putting the survival rate of your magic tree, even without payment protection, at around 98%, which makes it even more cost effective. That being said, Iazor seeds are not tradable, so you need to be actively killing a spory and getting lucky with getting the Iazor seeds. So I would say that the myth that it's more cost effective to not pay for magic tree protection is overall confirmed. Over the long run, you would save a lot of money and give up very little XP in comparison. That being said, I know there's a lot of numbers people who watch these videos, so I'm ready to see the responses in the comments. Also, check out what happened when I was testing this myth. Bro, I just picked up 12 mil off the ground.
Really?
It was just at the Lumbridge farming patch.
Holy shit.
Dude.
Maybe an Iron Man dropped it actually.
Did I just pick up an Iron Man's cash stack? Dude, I'm gonna wait here.
Yeah, just for a bit at least.
Oh my god, this is the guy.
You found him?
He came back. I'm gonna give him his money back. Oh, this poor guy said he was looking everywhere. I'm gonna give him his money back.
Aw.
He said the exact amount.
Damn.
Whatever. I mean, it's 12 mil.
You just made his day though.
He gave the exact amount. I realized afterwards that I forgot to give James Bond 300k of his cash stack back, but he was generous enough to let me keep it, so I'll be putting that straight into the Gillinor Games 5 prize pool. It's no myth that I have the best subscriber base on YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to help me get close to 500k. Thank you in advance. A channel viewer named Josh Isn't Gaming has a myth that eating while stunned from pickpocketing adds the eat delay to your next pickpocket. This one is actually super interesting. I didn't know this existed and I've played for almost 20 years. This is what he means. Here you can see that I'm pickpocketing an elf and I get stunned. I then decide to immediately eat a shark while stunned. However, by doing this, I'm delaying the amount of time it takes until I can pickpocket again. This pretty much equates exactly to eat delay when you attack an NPC. So when you eat a piece of food, it delays your next attack because of the tick delay after eating food. He's saying that this also applies to pickpocketing. Well, let's time it. If I get stunned while pickpocketing and I don't eat any food while stunned, it takes 11 ticks, so 6.6 seconds. Now let's try eating a piece of food while stunned to see if it takes any longer. As soon as I get stunned, I eat a shark and then spam click wait for the next pickpocket. This time it took 14 ticks or 8.4 seconds until the next pickpocket, a difference of 3 ticks or 1.8 seconds. That, my friends, is the exact delay amount you have when eating a shark after attacking. Now you might be thinking that this makes sense. You ate a shark and had to wait for the eat delay to wear off, but keep in mind that this delay happens after the stun wears off from pickpocketing. So if I get stunned and I immediately eat, the eat delay doesn't start when I eat eat the shark. The delay only begins once the stun is finished. Your HP still goes up, but your next action is delayed until you are no longer stunned. That being said, food that has no eat delay like karambwans, summer pies, and pineapple pizzas work just like they do in combat when pickpocketing. If you eat a cooked karambwan while stunned, your next pickpocket won't be delayed. This myth is confirmed, so the next time you find yourself pickpocketing an NPC for a long time, make sure the food you're using is food with no eat delay. You'll end up getting way more pickpockets per hour that way. Also, while testing this, I actually got an enhanced crystal teleport seed on my 8th pickpocket on this elf. This thing is a 1 in 1000 drop rate, a nice little collection log addition, but I think I'd rather get lucky on some 3rd H. On this series, we like to confirm once and for all what some of the fastest routes are in the game to get certain places. Here are a few new ones for you. I can't believe I'm showing this one, but I've gotten a few questions about it. When heading to God War's dungeon, never lift the boulder to get into the area. I know it has a cooler animation and it feels more badass, but doing it this way takes 17 ticks, whereas the level 60 agility shortcut right next to it takes only 8 ticks. You save over 5 seconds taking this shortcut. I mean, it's a literal shortcut in the game. It will save you time, I promise. What's the fastest way to get to a fairy ring? God, I just hate that word. Fairy ring. One of the perks of the quest cape is that it teleports you right in front of the Legends Guild, which is very close to a fairy ring. If you teleport there and run to the ring, it takes in total 17 ticks, 10.2 seconds. Definitely fast, but there is something that's equally as fast, and that's using the fairy ring you can build in your player-owned house. In fact, teleporting to your POH and using the fairy ring also takes 17 ticks, which means it's pretty much the exact same time to use these two rings. Building a POH ring requires 85 construction, which these days is pretty easy and fast to get. Maybe not as much on an Iron Man, but I think some people would prefer to train construction over going for the quest cape. Now, the nice thing about the quest cape is that you have infinite teleports with it compared to needing 99 construction for infinite teleports with the construction cape, so it does have that advantage. To be honest with you, I'd like to see the quest cape perk buffed a little bit. I think having the quest cape teleport you here in this area instead of where it currently teleports you will save you about 2 to 3 seconds getting to the fairy ring compared to the POH. I don't know, what do you guys think? One of the most iconic routes you walk early on in an account is the walk from Lumbridge Castle to the Grand Exchange. I guess unless you're an Iron Man, but I mean, you can't deny it's iconic. Now, a couple of videos ago, I tested this and showed the fastest path to get there. This path includes taking a left here at the Hops farming patch to skip out on having to walk around the fence and getting close to the Dark Wizards. Then you also take a left here at the Southwest Varrock mine, where you then just have a straight shot up to the Grand Exchange instead of having to walk through Varrock. This route saves over 15 seconds, but I was asked to test the myth that it's actually faster to run northwest past Draenor Manor, up towards Barbarian Village, and then northeast to the Grand Exchange. This kind of seems like it comes close to being as fast, if not faster, so I gave it a test. The run from Lumbridge to the Grand Exchange taking the east path took a total of 1 minute and 31 seconds. Will the path to the west be faster? Has everyone been running the wrong way for the past few decades to get to the Grand Exchange? You're probably thinking there's no way. Well, you'd be right. The west path took 1 minute and 48 seconds, 17 seconds slower. Currently, the east path remains the most efficient way to get to the Grand Exchange. If you guys are ever curious about the fastest way to get somewhere, definitely check out the shortest path plugin. If you enable it and right click somewhere on the map, I'll choose the Grand Exchange and click set path, it will tell you the fastest way for you to get where you're trying to get to and exactly how many tiles it will take. You can even customize it so it only shows teleports based on what you have in your inventory or what you're wearing. If you guys didn't know, if you are on a new account and you haven't done the strong enough security, you can actually run south to the Lumbridge graveyard and talk to Count Check. Then select the option, where can I learn more about security? Count Check will actually offer to teleport you to the stronghold of security in Barb Village for free. This is definitely the fastest way to the GE on a new account with no other teleports available. It is only a one-time use teleport though, so make sure to make it count. Here's a pretty neat myth that actually very few people have ever run into or even tested for that matter. By failing the fishing trawler minigame, you get sent to a special place. If someone else fails the next minigame, do they get sent to a different instance, or is it the same one that you're in? Let's give it a test. When you fail the fishing trawler minigame, the boat breaks and sinks and you get sent to this instance here where you're just swimming around looking for a way to escape. To get back to the mainland, you'll just need to climb up on this barrel here and you'll end up south of Ardoin. So if you were to stay here on one account and wait for the next time someone fails the fishing trawler, would they end up in the same instance? On top of that, even though your inventory and items are hidden, can you still trade with someone and give over items? I hopped on my 2 accounts to test this. To answer the first question, all accounts that fail the fishing trawler minigame do indeed end up in the same instance. As you can see here, both my accounts are swimming around together. Now, can you trade with one another even though your inventory is disabled? Surprisingly, yes. As soon as a trade is accepted here, you can see everything that you had in your inventory and even trade it over. So both of these questions are true. You end up in the same instance and you are able to trade over items even though your inventory is hidden. Pretty neat. But what about attacking someone? I was curious if you'd be able to find a way to leave the boundary of the ship and just swim around super far into this instance since you're fully surrounded by water. There's no way to swim out of the boundary and no way to climb over it, so the only other thing I could think of was maybe someone pushing myself over using a dragon spear. So I hopped on a PvP world and I waited until I was able to fail the trawler to get sent to the instance. I equipped my dragon spear, enabled the special attack, and right-click hovered attack on my other account. Surprisingly, the interface to attack actually stayed up, and I was hoping that because of this, I'd be able to use my special attack here even though I didn't have access to my gear or inventory. Unfortunately, it didn't work. All I did was punch instead of using the special attack, which I was hoping would end up glitching me through the boundary. Instead, I found out that PvP here literally is a staring contest. There is no attack animation in the water. The fight is just you staring at the person you're attacking and the hit splats popping up. It's pretty funny, not gonna lie. I would 100% watch an underground fight club on RuneScape where all fights take place here and it's just a staring contest. A myth that I get asked to test all the time is when you take a break from playing the game and you come back, you'll have better RNG on your account. This is essentially saying that if the game notices you haven't played in a while and you log in, you'll get lucky in some aspect, whether it's a boss drop or getting a pet. The game is trying to suck you back into playing a bunch by baiting you with a good drop. Now, let's be honest, this is something I can't test on my own and I would say is more likely not a thing. That being said, I myself have gotten lucky after taking breaks, and I guarantee you that a lot of you watching have had some insane luck after not playing for a while. I'd love to read your stories below, so make sure to leave a comment. It's honestly a pretty amazing strategy. To get people to keep playing, just give them a bit of good luck to make sure they stay around. Smart, but unbelievably evil and probably illegal. This is a myth that will never be confirmed or busted, but I think more people believe it than not. Make sure to tell that to all your friends. If you have any myths, tests, or theories that you think I should try out for the next RuneScape Mythbusters episode, make sure to leave it in the comments or DM me on any of my socials. I have 5 other RuneScape Mythbusting episodes to watch if you're craving some more of this content. You can check out the playlist for it in the description of this video. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. I'll see you guys in the next one.